Welcome to Bannock Business. Uklamatha Wiki Kasi Tsashata. My name is Randy Fred, and my name Wiki Kasi is by no means a traditional name. It means no eyes.
Thanks, Uncle. Ay Native, Antha Samasia, My name is Tasha Brooks, and one of the co-hosts here for Bannock Business podcast. And we have the awesome Arlis here, and I'll hand it over to introduce yourself.
My name is Arlis, and I'm very much excited to be here. It's an absolute pleasure that you've given me this opportunity to be here, so I'm thankful for that. And I run a landscaping business called Magnum Property Services that cooperates a lot with Cowichan tribes in landscaping, and we're going to talk about my journey in getting to where I am now and where we're headed. So I guess let's get started.
Awesome. Thank you. How long have you been in this business?
Well, this specific business, I've been in landscaping for over a year now. It's just over a year. We're going into our second year. And the first year was a little bit rough, but yeah, we've definitely come a long ways. It's felt like more than a year at this point.
So we're wanting to encourage young people to become entrepreneurs. And so let's step back a bit and just talk a bit about yourself, your whatever you want to share about your family history, your ancestry, and whatnot.
Well, I've had a rough upbringing. It wasn't an easy one. My dad, which is my Indigenous dad, last name Peter, I didn't really get to meet him a whole lot. I didn't get to be super involved with the culture. I didn't really understand a whole lot. I grew up in a single mother household, and so it wasn't easy, to say the least. It was most certainly something that was difficult because I was away from my culture. And I guess there's been a kind of balancing act in trying to understand everything, because I've been thrown into the world with not much understanding of nearly anything, and I'm trying to seek after wisdom in that regards.
And so how far would you say you're on your journey to gaining a real appreciation of your First Nations ancestry?
I would say I'm just after starting, because I kind of ignored it for a while when I was growing up, because I was more fascinated with video games and wasting time like that and friends. And it was certainly there, but I was pursuing after other things. I don't think it helped that when I was growing up, because I was a bit of a rebellious child, as I think some of us were, but not all of us. And so my mom would try and force things on me, and that was one of the things that she tried to force on me. I had a bit of a rebellion against my mom in that, because I think somewhere along the lines I lost a bit of respect growing up, because I saw some things I didn't really approve as a child. And so coming to adulthood and to a sense of maturity, now I can actually approach my culture in wholeness and be able to appreciate it as an adult instead of a child, where you're growing up in that environment.
And so with your involvement with business ventures, who would you say were your influences to help steer you towards that desire to be an entrepreneur?
I think I remember when I was a kid, when I was really, really young, I was playing outside and I saw these two girls that had started a lemonade stand on their street. And I remember that and I went, they're making money. And then I don't remember how old I was. Maybe it was about 7 or something. I sat there and I was like, we have lemons in the refrigerator. We have sugar. I can make lemonade too. Maybe people won't buy it as much, but I could do that too. And I guess that was an early inspiration. I actually think that there were a lot of people in my later life, like when I was around 17 or 18, that I got a lot of mentors and people that had started self-proprietorships in their own life, and that was the road that they went down. A lot of tradesmen. I definitely had people from university that had went into engineering, and they're like, you should go into engineering and you should become an entrepreneur, a self-proprietor. And I think there were definitely, there was two people that had the same name, which was really funny, at the same time in my life, and they're both entrepreneurs, and their name was Steve. And they both heavily kind of tailored this young Arlis into a man that had lots of energy but had no idea where to direct it. And they wanted to see the best out of me. And so that kind of refocused my energy into a direction where I looked at business and working in a different lens, because I'd grown up being told all the time, you have to go to university, you have to go and get a job. That is the only way to get rich. That's what I grew up on. That's what I was fed. And which they kind of broke that a little bit because I was curious. I wanted to figure out how to live this complex life. And so those were some of the earlier ones. I was working for a tradesman as well. His name was George, and he recognized this young man, and I would ask a whole bunch of questions on how the business operated. And he also, in answering those questions, kind of tailored me more into a man and how I wanted to operate such business.
And how long ago is it now that you started your landscaping company?
That was a year ago in April.
And how is it going?
It's going pretty good.
What would you say your challenges are?
I would say my challenges, because there are a lot of challenges. I did think about this, and I think the number one challenge is finding people that want to go somewhere, because most employees and things like that, when you're trying to build a business, like a scalable business, not just a sole proprietorship, you want reliable people and people that want to go somewhere. You have to reward those people, and I find that most of those people are currently at different companies, or they've already started something else and they're doing it themselves. So getting those people to come and work for you, you have to not only have a really, really sweet deal, but you need to find out who those people are. So that's certainly a challenge. Another challenge at the start was finding people that wanted your services, because there are people out there, but having people trust you enough to buy your service was a bit of a struggle at the start. And then afterwards of kind of conquering, I mean, it's still an ongoing issue because you want to scale and you want to have a bunch of work, but that is something that it's going to have to be continually overcame, especially since there are other people in the same market that are competing for those same clients. So those are the main two that I've personally dealt with.
And then what would you say, as a young person, I'm sure that you've run into all kinds of barriers that you have to jump over or go around to be a successful entrepreneur. What can you think of any offhand?
Oh yeah, I can think of one, which is trust in marketing. When you go to the job site and you look like some punk teenager, right? It doesn't usually go over well with the client. Not saying that I looked like that, but I was certainly a younger man, and having clients that are like, I have confidence that this guy is able to do it. Having that confidence in me was certainly a challenge. I think that I was able to overcome that based off of how I presented myself, is in like just looking the part and showing up and having that confidence about me has been able to overcome that. I mean, it's still a little bit there. I remember one of the funny things I did is I grew out my facial hair because then people would think that I'm a bit older, and I had one person think that I was 30, so I was like, oh, that's a compliment. But yeah, that was certainly one of the challenges as a young person. I think one of the other challenges was certainly financial, which is that because I'm a young person, overcoming the proper accounting and the lack of financing meant that I had to go into other places in which there were times where I was so broke. I had like $2 in my bank account, sometimes less, like 90 cents. I was super, super poor, and I was sitting there and I needed to get jobs because I knew if I could get one job, I'd be all right. And so what I would do is I would ask a friend for like $20 to $100. I was like, listen, I'll pay you back. I just need money so I can like print out flyers, all door knock. I just need to get some money into the system so then it can pour back into itself. So that was another challenge as well as a young person.
So you seem to have a real healthy drive. Like, where does that come from?
I think there were a lot of things that factored into it. One of my greatest fears at the moment is not being who I should be. I really don't like the idea that I'm sitting there on my couch or something else and I'm not the guy that I should be. I'm not doing the things that I should be doing and moving forward. And that fed into that because when I was growing up, I mean, not to trash my single mother, but she conquered this, but she was an alcoholic for a bit and not someone with a whole lot of motivation. So seeing that growing up and knowing that it was wrong, because some people decide to go down that road. I didn't. I abstained from alcohol. But seeing that when I was growing up, I think it kind of put a drive in me that was like, I really don't want to be like this. I don't want to be emotional. I want to have like a stable life. And seeing, like, I remember the person that got me here named Gina, was a really lovely lady. Seeing her stable household is like, you know, a 5 to 7 year old and onward, because I've known her since I was 5. Seeing that put a lot of drive in me because I didn't want to be unstable. I didn't want to have instability. And that's kind of that drive for that. I don't want to be who I shouldn't be. I want to go somewhere. And yeah, I remember a story. I was doing janitorial for a bit. I technically got a janitorial contract at one point that was just given to me, but this was before that, and we were working for this guy who he passed away, unfortunately, and that's why I got the contract. It was just sent on to me as a 16-year-old, but we'll get there eventually. I remember I was there and I was working, and we were very poor. I didn't know how poor. She never shared the finances, but I sat there. It's like maybe a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, and I sat there and I did the math because I figured out what minimum wage was. And I knew how much we were getting paid from this contract. And I was like, listen, if we just both get full-time minimum wage jobs, I'll work, I'll like find a way. We could have some money and like we could go places. And I remember she kind of just shut me down. She was like, no. And I was like, well, it could be, we could have a better life. We could go somewhere. And growing up, I didn't want to be like that and just shutting people down. I wanted to go somewhere. I wanted to encourage growth. So that's kind of where the drive came from, is seeing other people not wanting to go places. And I'm recognizing that that was maybe not inherently wrong, but as a kid, I definitely thought it was wrong.
Your thought process is very commendable. You know, there's not a lot of young people who could, you know, really look and take a really close observation of their surroundings and, you know, actually make decisions for yourself that are healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
I think it was definitely seeing other families, like figuring out as a small child that this wasn't normal and that this wasn't acceptable, and some of the things that had happened, I think really kind of was the disrespect of my mother as a child, which try not to disrespect your parents, but certainly I think this disrespect led me into a process of, okay, we have to like figure out what's right and wrong, that pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah, my father's teaching, like he always stressed it to his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. He said, never, ever turn your back on your family and friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I've tried to live by that all my life.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know doing business can, you know, get quite stressful, but what times can you think of where you're most fun? doing business?
Most fun doing business?
Yeah.
Oh, there are quite a few. There is something romantic about when it's pouring out rain and you have to load up a whole bunch of like just tree clippings and other stuff, and I definitely had friends that were hired at points. Currently, they've decided to go and do other things, but when it's pouring out rain and you're with all of your friends in business and they're all like loading stuff up and we're going to get this job done, and having that kind of brotherhood there, that was super, super fun. I enjoyed that a lot. And I'm seeing the job, just everything falls into place. Having those fun moments where you have your brothers and you're getting the job done, that is irrefutably one of the funner moments. I think even just by yourself, and because I've done lots of jobs by myself, and you're having a really productive day, which are most of our days, not every day, but having a really productive day, it's like, wow, we're getting stuff done, we're making money, like this is cool. Every time that happens, I'm like, wow, we're going places, the client's happy, especially seeing like clients happy with our work, that makes me happy too. Just seeing other people happy makes me happy.
Yeah, like you're sharing your stories, it's like you're covering all the principles of doing good business.
Yeah. I definitely had I've had times where I definitely messed up and that were not good. But yeah, I think sometimes, because I didn't get everything told to me, sometimes I had to like bang my head against the wall to figure out the solution, which has been some of my life, which is the fool's way to do it, because you could always seek someone wiser who's went through those challenges to help you along the way. Doesn't mean that you listen to them, but it's recommended that you do. And
Yeah.
so,
What have been some of your milestones that you have achieved?
in our first year, even though it's not a significant sum of money, doing like $12,000 was a pretty big milestone, as in like money that was not made from an employer. That was a pretty big milestone for me, because it was like, okay, so we can do this. Like, if we just scale this, we poured back into this, having that, I was like, wow, so this is not only possible, but if I just tried a little bit harder, I put more effort, we could be in such a better place. And I think the second one more recently was, we had gotten a call, not just from tribes, because we've kind of worked out a deal with tribes, so we do a bunch of work for Cowichan tribes and things like that. It was, as soon as it was someone other than Cowichan tribes, we had a commercial company, SureSpan, just over across from Drinkwater Road where the dump is. They gave us a call to go and maintain their yard. And having not just, one commercial contract, having that second commercial contract and realizing that we're a notable company now, that we're being recognized by the bigger players, was like, okay, so now we're going somewhere. Like, this is a real thing that we have to consider, because like, we're going to get phone calls, there are going to be bigger jobs. Having that there was like, whoa. And then I think the next milestone, which I'm praying and I'm hoping that it's going to happen this year, which is we might surpass $100,000 in revenue gross,
Well, good for you.
which is pretty cool compared to last year, because that's a 10x. So maybe, next year or the year after, we're going to go for $1 million.
Yeah. You know what? You're going to do it.
I think so too.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you will. So, a little bit of a more serious note. I'm sure that young people watching this have already picked up a lot of tips from you, as far as, ways to do business and attitude, especially.
Mm-hmm.
So, just off the top of your head, like if you were talking to young people, what advice would you give them about business?
I would think that a lot of it stems to what you want out of life, because the drive, just having the drive, you'll be able to have a successful business, a successful life, having that drive to go places and understanding what you want out of life and what you should have and should seek after in regards to life. That's really, really important. So wanting is important. And wanting the right things, because a lot of people fall down to the pathways of like just to a certain extent, degeneracy, and that's a sad thing. Like, I'm not condemning those people. It's more like that's a sad thing because they went down some dark roads, and understanding where you want to go, why you want to go, like figuring out your purpose is the biggest thing, because everything will stem from that. It's a lot more philosophy and meaning and things like that, but having a purpose, it's like, wow, now I can go places, and that means something to you, not just a purpose of you picked one. And it's almost like your end goal for life. Like, you sit there at the end of your life and you're on your deathbed and you look back at the entirety of your life, whether you have kids or you don't have kids, and going, was this something that I'm happy that I lived it the way that I did? Right? And I had a positive impact in the world, or whatever it is that you're seeking after. That is the most important thing, because after that, everything else will be added on to you, because you have that drive now. You have that purpose. There's meaning behind your actions. Because if you don't have that, it's very difficult to go places. Very, very difficult.
In First Nations talk, I must say, right on.
Thank you.
So I really loved what you said and about a successful life, and that from that end goal. What is your end goal?
I think my end goal is to, well, I'm going to quickly segue into a different question that you guys had put on the email list, which is, how do I balance cultural identity with my business goals? And I'm going to add a third thing into this, because this has been probably the most difficult thing for me, which is, I'm not only seeking after business, but I'm also seeking the kingdom of God. And I'm a Christian, in which the Christian faith has not a very good reputation among Indigenous people for obvious reasons. And I mean, I don't associate with the specific sect that has went about those actions, but balancing all three of those things has been important to me, because it's like, well, I want to go and seek first the kingdom of God, and everything else will be added onto me. And my business is one of the answers to that. But my cultural identity is also one of the answers to that, because I do a lot of work around the reserve, and I've seen a lot of broken families. I'm in a broken family, unfortunately. And I don't fully understand how the injuries of the past have affected my life, but I think that they have. And to understand that and look at that as a whole and go, wow, there's a lot of hurt in our communities. And wanting to mend that properly and help people has kind of fed in all into that. So when I'm at the end of my life, not only do I want to know that I furthered the kingdom of God, but I want to see our community, the Cowichan tribes, in a better spot than it is now. Because I think to just see what some of our brothers and sisters have went down in some of their roads really, really hurts my heart quite a bit. And as well, I would like to see a bunch of children and grandkids on my deathbed as well. But I think having a positive impact in that has certainly kind of been my end purpose in that. And business is one of the answers to that, because the business is a part of the economy. And having a better economy is one of the steps that we can do to mend those wounds.
Yeah, certainly, one's spiritual health is just as important as our emotional, mental, and physical health.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree with you. But yeah, that's kind of the end goal and the purpose behind that. And that's been one of the struggles for me as well, is because I don't want to run around and offend people or hurt anyone or anything in that manner, because I'm not here to cause more wounds. I'm here to heal what's happened.